way back. But Luka continues, and they're playing the Spurs, who themselves are all hurt. First quarter, it's Luka Doncic turning defense into offense, and Chiney, someone's got to go up.
Every time I see a play like this, I'm like, this is the new age basketball. You get a fast break, you stop for three, but hey, it's okay. It's Luka Doncic, it's everybody. This is what we do now.
And how about Austin Reaves, spinorama in the lane?
Man, he puts you on a blender. He has been tremendous. It's been, interesting to see how his role has evolved, but he has been steady Eddie.
Lakers pulled away quick and never looked back. Jackson Hayes off the fake handoff, so we can call that a play-action dunk if you want to. That's a 14-point lead. And then it's Reaves. He scored 30 points last night.
Off the dribble, he's one of the best. I have this question of what do you call players that are not all-stars, but they're better than role players? And a lot of people answered Austin Reaves.
Yeah.
He's that guy. He's the definition of that.
Jackson Hayes on the alley-oop from Doncic there. Reaves scored 30. Doncic, 21, had a bad shooting night, but he did have 14 assists. Here's more from Reaves. LeBron and company can celebrate a win. And Bontemps, to your point, they need to bank these wins, 125-109. So they do what Minnesota and Golden State couldn't. It was a game they were supposed to win, set up for them to win, and they took care of business.
Absolutely. The Spurs have De'Aaron Fox out for the season, Victor Wembanyama out for the season. This is the kind of game, if you're the Lakers, you have to win. They've got a lot of difficult games left, and they got to maintain that gap between them and the Clippers and the Timberwolves and the Warriors behind them. Because, look, if the Lakers are in the top six and they are going into the playoffs, with Luka and LeBron, they're going to feel like they could beat anybody. If they get in the play-in, all of a sudden, you got to play an extra game or two. You're potentially one game away from going home if you have a couple bad shooting games. You could end up in the 1-8 matchup with Oklahoma City, who you don't want to play in the first round. All those reasons are why that was a huge win for the Lakers last night, coupled with those losses for Minnesota and Golden State.
Yeah, and the Lakers, they truly have a big three. I love it because, I think a lot of the questions have been like, okay, LeBron James and Luka Doncic are complementary players. What does that mean for Austin Reaves, who's having a great season? Is he going to be tertiary? Well, that's not a bad thing in the NBA when you have a big three of this type, not like the Phoenix Suns, let's be real here. But what I love about Austin Reaves, his fourth straight 25-point game, he has been consistent. Luka, he had an off shooting night. I think it was like 6 for 20, but he had like 14 assists. So these guys can make plays for each other on top of getting LeBron James back, which is a good sign.
All right, we're setting the table. The NBA, much more conversation on that as we go. But up next,
on the association last night, the Knicks. They beat the Heat to sweep the regular season series for the first time since 1992. El Cato Grande had 23 points, 7 rebounds. Josh Hart recorded his 8th triple-double of the season. He only played 29 minutes. It was efficient. A surprising result out west, if you consider Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray did not play in this game against the Warriors, who were riding a 7-game win streak. Aaron Gordon, a season-high 38 points and 6 boards as Denver beat Golden State for a 9th straight time. And Luka, 1 rebound shy of a triple-double for the Lakers, who beat the Spurs. LA, they've won 8 straight games at home. Doncic leads the Lakers in points, boards, assists, steals since his debut in LA on February 10th. The Thunder have all but locked up the 1 seed in the West, but the Lakers and Rockets both in contention for the 2 seed right now. Teams 2 through 5 in the West separated by just a game. The Lakers host the Nuggets tomorrow night, 10 Eastern on ESPN. Let's welcome in now ESPN senior writer Tim Bontemps into the program. Tim, great to see you. After seeing the tight race in the West, just outside the play-in tournament, will playoff seeding matter for the Lakers?
It will matter quite a bit, Gary,
Okay.
not only because, obviously, depending on who you match up with matters a lot in the Western Conference, but also for this Laker team with LeBron James in his age 40 season, obviously currently dealing with this groin injury, they don't need to play any extra games. And the biggest thing about last night, with Golden State blowing that game, like you said, to Denver, and Minnesota blowing a game against the Indiana Pacers where they sat most of their players, that was a big boost for the Lakers, who took care of business against the Spurs and opened up an even bigger gap between those teams in 6th and 7th place behind them. The Warriors and Wolves have been the 2 hottest teams in the league.
Yeah.
They've been making quick strides, catching up with the Lakers in the Western Conference standings. Lakers have a brutal schedule down the stretch. They're going to need every bit of an advantage they can to hang on to that top 6 playoff spot and therefore avoid going into the play-in, either potentially having to play Oklahoma City in the first round or missing the playoffs entirely. So that was a very big development last night for them to get a win and those 2 rivals to lose and open up some more ground.
About a dozen or so games left in the regular season for most teams out in the Western Conference. Seeds 2 through 7 separated by just 3.5 games one way or another. To the East now, Tim, the Knicks hold a 5-game lead for the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. This is a good one. Are the Knicks closer to the Eastern Conference Finals or a first-round exit in your eyes?
Well, the weird thing about this, Gary, is I think the Knicks might be the 5th best team in the league, right? The problem is they have to play the Boston Celtics in the second round. And as you know very well, the Boston Celtics have handled the New York Knicks in all 3 games they've played this season. I was at all 3 of them. None of them were competitive. The Celtics blew them out all 3 times. And in a second-round series between those 2 teams, I just don't see how the Knicks, with Karl-Anthony Towns in the drop, him and Jalen Brunson trying to guard that devastating Boston Celtics attack, I don't see how the Knicks are going to get past them. So I will say that they're closer to a one-and-done simply because I don't see how they're getting to the conference finals. But it's a little bit unfair because the Knicks might, like I said, be the 5th or 6th best team in the NBA. The problem is the team they really can't beat is going to be waiting for them in the second round of the playoffs.
And the Eastern Conference is so top-heavy, and New York 0-5 against both the Celtics and the Cavaliers this season. Tim Bontemps breaking it down this morning on SportsCenter. Tim, great to see you.
A bad loss. The Warriors trying to stay out of the play-in. Timberwolves right there. They lose as well. Golden State and the Clippers are a game back. Denver still in the conversation. Tim Legler watched what happened last night, and he didn't like what he saw from Golden State.
This is a brutal loss from this standpoint. You caught a break with this Minnesota game. I said they're in a battle with them right now for that 6th spot. You got a chance to pick up a game on Minnesota, who is just chomping at your heels, and you don't get it done against a depleted Denver Nuggets team to this extent. This is a really bad loss for Golden State when they were red hot.
It's a bad loss, and Bontemps, as we were discussing, it's not a good night all the way around. Obviously, Golden State losing is bad, and a game that they should win because the Nuggets basically said, here, you go ahead and win, and the Warriors weren't able to do it. But not having Jokic, not having Murray in that spot last night, tough to watch.
No, it's a horrible look for the league. This is why the NBA put in the player participation policy. They literally put in rules that said if you're playing in a national televised game, especially on the road, your stars are supposed to play. Nikola Jokic plays all the time. I just saw him in Boston recently. He's been banged up with a bunch of stuff. But you could look ahead at the schedule if you're the Nuggets. They play the Washington Wizards, the worst team in the league, at home on Saturday. Sit these guys in that game, have them ready to go for today's game and Wednesday's game against the Lakers. I was at the Garden last night getting ready for this game. Cassie Hubbard texted me in the 4th quarter and said, you see who's Denver's playing? I said, I think everybody's playing. Then she sent me the injury report. Half the guys are out. It's just a horrible look for the league, and it's a horrible situation because I was excited to see what I could learn from Golden State playing these guys. Instead, they have everybody out, and even though they lost, the game doesn't matter.
And I also caught up on the fact that it's not only horrible for the Denver Nuggets, but then also Steve Kerr says Steph Curry is tired,
right,
and we might need to rest him soon. So you're hearing sound bites from both sides. But honestly, when I saw the game and who was active, when we tapped in, I was like, you know what? Good for the Denver Nuggets, because that created an opportunity. It created an opportunity for Russell Westbrook and also Aaron Gordon to do their thing. And I think it sort of gave them confidence to show that when it matters most, we can still get you wins too. We are integral to this squad, because when we came into the year, not only were we saying, Jokic can win another MVP, we also said that this is a team that should be able to win a championship. The big question has been, okay, is their supporting cast good enough? Is their bench depth good enough? Well, they got to win despite the odds, so I'm not going to knock them completely, but obviously we'd rather see our stars out there.
And speaking of Curry, let's hear from Steve Kerr. Again, Steph has been carrying this team, and obviously at his age, at this point, it is tough to watch him do that every single night.